Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the All in Crypto podcast. I am your host, Rupert, and today I am delighted to be joined by a familiar face here on the channel. We have Jennifer, who is the marketing and community lead over at Nunet, a platform that is looking to revolutionize cloud computing. Jennifer, how are you?
Good. How are you doing? Good to be back.
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Even better for seeing yourself. And really excited to get into kind of what Nunet's been up to since we last spoke. But for many of my audience, they may be somewhat unfamiliar. They might not have seen our last interview, or this might be the first time that they're hearing about Nunet. I think a good place for us to start would be with a bit of a recap in regards to what it is Nunet is trying to enable and facilitate.
Awesome. Sure. Yeah, so Nunet is a open source decentralized network that's designed to create a globally accessible, democratized network for computing power. So it's a decentralized platform or network that gives that provides number one, an decentralized orchestration layer for computing power. Number two, also enables individuals and organizations to share and access distributed computing resources to create this globally accessible, democratized network for computation. So a useful analogy that I use or comparison is like a bit like Uber for computing. So number one, if you own a car, if you have spare time, you can rent out your driving services to others. So similar to how individual data centers or IoT devices can contribute unused computing into Nunet network. And number two, when you book an Uber, the platform finds the best match for you based on factors like distance, comfort, vehicle size, whatever it is. So this is equivalent to Nunet's decentralized orchestration layer, where it intelligently assigns computational tasks to the most suitable devices on the network. So Nunet's orchestration layer is the orchestration layer dynamically discovers available devices, evaluates their capabilities, assigns workloads accordingly, ensuring efficiency, reliability, and scalability across the global distributed network. Unlike traditional cloud providers, where they rely on a centralized orchestration layer and centralized infrastructure, Nunet can optimize the allocation of computing tasks across a peer-to-peer network, which hopefully will eliminate bottlenecks and reduce costs. So Nunet was designed to address the limitations of centralized cloud infrastructure or cloud provider, which is often expensive, restrictive, and controlled only by a few large providers. And this is especially critical for emerging fields like AI, AGI, IoT, and edge computing, where real-time processing and dynamic scalability are essential. So we're also integrating blockchain and Web3 technology as well to ensure secure, transparent, and payment systems within the network, and making sure that contributors are fairly compensated while users gain a more cost-effective access to decentralized computing resources. With this approach, we hope to democratize computing, providing a flexible, scalable, and community-driven alternative to traditional cloud services or cloud providers.
Wow, sounds like you've got your hands full. It's quite a task, and I love the Uber analogy. I remember I think it was a Yuval Harari book where he tackles kind of problems facing our world. And one of the issues that he put forward an idea for is the fact that in the future, somebody would figure out Uber before it was really a thing, or a kind of car sharing mechanism where that kind of hardware, if you will, being the car, would essentially be more efficient and have kind of environmental impacts due to the fact that not everyone would have a car. If you look at a car, the vast majority of time it's kind of sat on your drive, certainly in the realms of kind of self-driving and things like this. We could almost figure out a system to really make the system of driving more efficient. That is essentially what Nunet is doing with computing. And I always, on a very simplistic kind of way, look at what Bitcoin brought in regards to people contributing their hardware to maintaining the Bitcoin network. We've now taken that compute and we've gone, okay, let's now enable the next internet, or an internet that is kind of integrated in a Web3, trustless, effective, scalable manner. So I really don't think I can understate just how important it is what a project like Nunet is actually doing, and how actually I believe this is very much what the future of computing looks like. It opens up opportunities for the everyday individual. It challenges, just like Bitcoin did with the sort of central banking system, perhaps not so much anymore, the kind of techno feudalistic cloud lords that literally have a monopoly over kind of cloud computing. So, was really excited to have you back on the show. I think one thing that I want to get into is what's been going on with Nunet. You know, last time we spoke, we very much spoke about Nunet as a whole, where it was going. What are some of the kind of progressions that we've seen with Nunet thus far? What's been happening over the kind of past 6 months or so?
Yeah, yeah, of course. So I think we last spoke in October, November, and since then there's been a lot of things happening. So, well, one of the first things that's kind of happened that's able to kind of bring us to where we are now is the release of the DMS version 0.5. And the DMS stands for our Device Management Service. So anyone that's familiar with Linux and Linux like services all, so the DMS is like the kernel to Linux. So the DMS is essentially where everything happens. It's our main code base, and we can essentially use that as the main thing and build off it. So in the very end, actually New Year's Eve of 2024, we released the DMS version 0.5. So this was a major upgrade that refactored our code base, and it introduced several key components that form the backbone of Nunet's decentralized computing stack. Um, so first of all, the DMS is the core component that allows any device to connect into Nunet's network to share or to consume computational resources seamlessly. The second thing that we worked on was, or that's came with this, is the new actor system. So this is kind of like our orchestration layer, which is a secure, zero trust framework for decentralized interactions that enables granular permissions controls without relying on a central authority. So if we look at other decentralized computing projects, they probably still rely on a centralized orchestration layer. Nunet has its own decentralized orchestration layer, also with the plugin to Kubernetes, so a logical orchestration layer. Um, so we kind of have made our own Kubernetes, but also have had a plugin working on building in the plugin with Kubernetes as well, because a lot of companies right now are using Kubernetes as their main orchestration layer. And if we want to seamlessly integrate with these companies, we have to ensure that there is a plugin there for them. Other thing that we've worked on is the observability framework, so logging, system monitoring tools to provide transparency, improve debugging, and optimize compute workflows. So that's what we've kind of worked on up until the end of the year. And then with this foundational technologies that we now have in place, we're now enabling real world pilots and partnerships to further validate our decentralized compute in production environments. So building on DMS version 0.5, we will obviously have version 0.6, which will release in Q1, and we will release a new version each quarter. So this version 0.6, we're looking at strengthening peer-to-peer communication. We're looking at improving fault recovery, dynamic scaling, workflow flexibility. We're also looking at storage, so supporting localized storage volumes to facilitate efficient data processing in decentralized environments. As mentioned, we're enabling Kubernetes. So we have level 1, which will be enabling Kubernetes job specifications to seamlessly deploy workloads on Nunet. And we're also working on building the groundwork building for the transparent compute usage and tracking, and of course, future monetization of compute. So that's the DMS, that's like the main platform. And then following the kind of release of DMS version 0.5, it's led the way for our pilot use cases and our use case integration partners. So we've been working on a number of integrations. First is looking at AI agents, which is a huge topic right now, and decentralized AI workloads. So this is a really exciting development in Nunet, and its support for decentralized agent deployment. Um, Through integrations with Olama APIs, we've actually been able to successfully run AI inference workloads on distributed compute nodes. And some of the advancements on that would include multi-agent deployment, so enabling AI agents to collaborate in real time across a decentralized network, with each node specializing in a different task. We've also been running some experiments looking at multi-agent. We've ran like a restaurant simulation agent, so running that autonomously. And then expanding AI accessibilities. So with Olama's latest CPU acceleration updates, we've been able to you've been able to run these AI agents on lower end machines. So these machines can basically now participate in AI agent workloads, removing the reliance on high end GPUs, which we all know GPUs are like gold dust right now. So these innovations are really to set the stage for a new paradigm in AI democratization, allowing AI applications to scale without centralized bottlenecks. Some other use cases or integrations that we've been working on is, of course, ASI. So we're collaborating with them to deploy ASI nodes and enable decentralized AI workloads at scale. We're also running our Cardano SPO use case. So this is allowing Cardano SPOs to run nodes on Nunet's decentralized infrastructure, helping to reduce costs and increase network reliance. Machine learning and LLM platform integration. So as I mentioned, AI agents supporting distributed AI training and inference across nodes. We're also working on another really exciting integration with Oki or the Postmet. So we want to be able to optimize deployment with minimal latency, enabling efficient multi-purpose hardware utilization across DePin projects. So many DePin projects can be quite hard to deploy. And what Nunet is doing, we're actually making it a lot easier to deploy these projects, enhancing security and resilience through decentralized automation. And a little bit more on that, something really, really exciting, which I've kind of saved the best for last, is simplifying onboarding for Nunet and DePin. Over the last couple of weeks, we really had a breakthrough in this, and we do recognize that the ease of use is critical for adoption. So we've actually will be rolling out what we call the Nunet appliance, which is a streamlined software solution that makes running decentralized nodes easier for both Nunet participants and other DePin participants or projects. So I onboarded my device the other day in 10 minutes, and I would say maybe 10 clicks. I don't know. I have to do the final maths on that. I'm hoping the dev team will get 10 and 10 for that. But essentially, the key features include a user-friendly interface for launching nodes without requiring deep technical expertise, ensuring efficient and secure compute sharing with minimal setup effort, and helping us onboard users. And the first project to deploy on this will be Oki, or the Postmet. So we'll be running their nodes on their decentralized machine perception network. And we've worked with them because they wanted to make their onboarding process really simple. And we've been working with them that they can tap into Nunet's compute as well as orchestration. And now we have this really nice user face for people to deploy their Oki nodes in a matter of clicks. So this
Wow,
initiative really aligns. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
there's a
and
lot there.
and yeah, yeah. So we next week we will be launching a kind of soft launch where we'll invite, a handful of people to come in, stress test, make sure everything's okay. Most exciting part, well, obviously that, but the second most exciting part is it can be Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever operating system friendly. So I don't have to, install a VM on my MacBook in order to install Linux or Ubuntu. I essentially just download this little software onto my PC, a couple of clicks, choose my resources that I want to contribute, and I'm done. So right now, the developers are working on the Windows version of that. Mac is working quite nicely. I've played around with it a few times myself. And this is really cool because this is really going to lower the barrier to entry to a lot of DePin projects. And that's what we need. We need stuff to be user friendly in order for it to work, right? It's not going to work if you have, previously we had a 1 hour onboarding video. If you're not that technically adapt and you're a bit more, perhaps know a little bit, but not too much, a bit like myself, this just changes the game. It's super easy. It's super nice, clean interface that you can just deploy. Still has that kind of coder feel. We still have like the terminal view, but it's a couple of clicks. If you want to deploy onto another DPIM project, you just have to click the button, and it's done. So it's super cool. So 2025 is going to be a big year for Nunet. With the DMS versions that we'll release over the year, enabling large scale AI deployments and multi agent collaborations, expanding on real world pilots and partner integrations like PostMesh, ASI, Cardano SPO use case. And of course, developing our sustainable incentivization model for compute providers and consumers as well.
Wow.
It's going to be a big year for Nunet. We're creating a entirely new way on how to access and share computational power. It's open, decentralized, and it's scalable. And it's going to be a really big year for Nunet.
And important. There's quite a lot
Yes.
to unpack there. First of all, I think the best place for me to kind of tackle all that information is with just how refreshing it is to hear from a crypto project just how much they've been up to since we last spoke in October, November. That is a big green flag in my opinion, because there's lots of projects out there that perhaps have gone kind of very quiet, or there's not a lot actually going on. Whereas Nunet, you absolutely can't say that about. There's so much taking place, and all of it very important, leading towards actually enabling what is important for kind of humanity, certainly in regards to this digital age, and to really extend onto that. AI agents are a big thing. I think they're going to fundamentally change the fabric of society. I truly believe that. And the need to have a kind of decentralized infrastructure around that has never been more important. And of course, Nunet are looking to enable that. And I want to get into that. Before I do, the Cardano SPO incentivization, that is essentially, I believe, you guys providing the compute to enable the stake pools. Because if you look at Cardano's sort of the lay of the land as it relates to Cardano's nodes, and I'll actually maybe speak to you towards the end about, I have a stake pool. I wouldn't mind actually, exploring, facilitating that on Nunet, because the vast majority of Cardano stake pools, it's very ironic, isn't it, in kind of Web3 that we actually just totally utilize Web2 infrastructure. Not to throw any shade on anyone, because I don't think that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to highlight this. If you look at Nunet and it's kind of, it can be very general purpose in regards to compute. Running a stake pool is a brilliant example of that, on top of all these other amazing things that we're going to see. But to go back to AI, how important do you think it is that we actually have decentralized infrastructure that enables these AI agents and kind of takes that power back from the few big companies out there that basically rule the internet?
The demand for computing right now is skyrocketing, and that's mainly thanks to AI. But there is like a problem with this. So the current computing ecosystem is dominated by centralized cloud providers. And this model has serious limitations. And what Nunet is doing is we're trying to address these challenges by creating a fully decentralized computing and orchestration stack or infrastructure stack. Um, so essentially optimizing and distributing compute resources across this global open network. So some of the key problems, I guess, that Nunet is tackling, one would be centralization and limited accessibility. So right now, cloud infrastructure is controlled just by a handful of big corporations, which we've mentioned here a couple of times. So this creates a barrier for individuals, for startups, for researchers, for anyone who needs access to high performing computing resources or AI training resources. So it's expensive. It's also only available to those who can afford it in kind of massive cloud contracts. It's pretty much regional based as well. So Western world probably gets the first access to this, rather than other parts of the world. And Nunet's really working to break this monopoly. So it allows anyone, whether you're a data center or just someone with a spare computer, to contribute and access computing resources. So this really democratizes AI and computing by making it accessible to everyone, and also giving people the ability to share their underutilized computing power. And that's another thing that we're kind of another problem we're tackling is currently, there's a huge amount of computing power that goes unused every day. Think about idle computing power or computers. Think about, I don't know, gaming consoles, whatever it is, underutilized enterprise servers, whatever it is. Traditional cloud services or cloud providers rely on dedicated data centers. But with Nunet, we're able to tap into this already existing infrastructure, like your laptop. Hopefully, one day, a couple of years down the line, we'll get to mobiles, and we can tap into this network and optimize the use of distributed computing power, which helps reduce waste and makes the most of already what's out there. Another thing we're tackling is high costs and inefficiency. So cloud computing services are expensive. It's a big problem for small businesses or independent developers or researchers. And AI training and inferences, in particular, require a ton of computational power, which just drives the costs through the roof. So we were speaking to someone recently, and they were telling me, that they're on a waiting list essentially for some GPUs to be delivered to them. So it's just crazy. So Nunet hopefully aims to reduce costs by leveraging a distributed network of available devices and making compute resources more affordable and efficient for everyone and accessible for everyone. You don't have to be in a certain region to access them. It can be accessed anywhere. Another issue is scalability. So AI models, edge computing applications, decentralized networks need infrastructure that can scale dynamically. And traditional cloud solutions tend to struggle with this, especially for real-time applications. So Nunet aims at providing a flexible, decentralized alternative where compute resources scale based on demand. So this means AI workloads can run smoothly across a global network. Another issue, security and data privacy. So centralized cloud models come with some inherent risks. Data security, privacy, and control are major concerns. When you rely on one single provider, you're putting all of your sensitive data in one place, which can create vulnerabilities. But Nunet's decentralized approach and peer-to-peer approach distributes workloads across independent nodes. This means that data can be processed locally, preserving privacy and reducing the risk of central points of failure rather than just having one place. It could be, on a laptop for mine in Australia, somewhere in the UK, maybe another one in America. So you need to like have access to all these computers in order to get that data or whatever. And then another problem, which I think is really important, is we're solving the problems in terms of barriers to AI and barriers to edge computing. So, many data centers, many people mightn't have access to these, whether it's financial or other. You know, you just don't have access to this. It's not put on the market. It's not an open market, let's just say as such. Um, Nunet's changing the game in terms of that. So if you're an AI researcher that's in India, and this is a real life use case of an AI researcher in India that he's during his PhD, his college couldn't provide him with the compute that he needs. So he actually reached out to us in terms of wanting to work with us to help build this platform, because it's exactly what he would need when he was back in college and studying access to these CPUs or GPUs in order to do his PhD. So lowering this barrier to entry and making it democratized and making it open to all is really the main problem that we're solving here. That it's not just these big corporations or these big companies or people that have money behind them. It can be open to anyone anywhere, which I think is really really cool. And yeah, one of the many reasons I love working here is because of that exact reason.
It's huge. It's very clear to me that decentralized sort of computing networks are more scalable, more eco-friendly, more cost-efficient, um, kind of private, a lot more private by many metrics, and also more secure because you've got that kind of decentralized aspect where there's not just one central point of failure. And you bring up so many good points there in regards to democratizing this kind of economy. It's certainly important in regards to democratizing AI and access to AI so that it's not just a few companies that literally have control over a kind of technology that, I still think we're in somewhat the early stages, but it's come a hell of a long way. In the next 5 years, it's going to go even further and actually be a technology that directly impacts human consciousness. So what Nunet are doing is huge. It can't be understated. And I think in the cryptocurrency space right now, we kind of focus on perhaps financial applications, but that's one aspect of what this technology is doing. There's a whole other aspect in regards to kind of enabling in a better way, just like finance is being evolved, actually enabling the digital world that is just so important to all our lives. So I really absolutely love Nunet. It's truly a project that I pay attention to, and certainly always love our conversations. One thing we're getting a lot of questions about is the ASI. So we know that there was a merging of SingularityNet, Fetch, Ocean. I think there was another couple in there. Kudos was one, but they've merged into this kind of artificial superintelligence. Now, Nunet has obviously very close links with Singularity, et cetera, et cetera. And you are working with ASI, I believe. What's your kind of role in all of that?
In the ASI Alliance, Nunet's main role is to act as the orchestration layer for ASI and to make decentralized computing more accessible and efficient by orchestrating and also tapping into unused CPU and GPU resources. Um, Nunet focuses on helping individual users and smaller organizations share and monetize their spare computing power, allowing them to join the ASI network and get paid for what otherwise would go to waste. So Nunet's been actively expanding its contributions following the release of the DMS version 0.5, specifically focusing on decentralized compute orchestration, secure verification and verification frameworks, which enables seamless, trustless access to AI and computing services within the ASI ecosystem. So right now, our primary focus within the ASI and node development is the development of a decentralized verification proof of concept for ASI Create, which is leveraging Nunet's new actor system, which is our orchestration layer. And this initiative is designed to establish a scalable, decentralized verification framework that enables developers and users to securely access ASI services while maintaining a high degree of flexibility and interoperability. Um, by integrating the orchestration and verification capabilities into ASI Create, we're actually removing these centralized bottlenecks and ensuring secure, permissionless access to AI services and computing resources. So This essentially enhances the scalability, the security, and of course the openness of the ASI ecosystem, and also aligning with Nunet's mission to democratize computing and AI access. So currently our team is working on the proof of concept, and I'm sure we'll share more details once this is completed. So for now, I'll just say stay tuned as we continue to drive the decentralized innovation within the ASI Alliance.
Wow. And on the topic of stay tuned, I'd really like to dive into some of the things that people can look forward to this year. What have you guys, and we've touched on some of them, what are you looking at for this year in regards to rollouts, the roadmap? What can people sort of expect, or what should they be paying attention to? I know there's certain things that, of course, you can't go into, but what publicly can people expect for 2025 for Nunet?
Course. So the first and probably most exciting thing is the Nunet appliance deployment. So this, as mentioned before, is lowering the barrier for entry for compute providers by offering an easy to use deployment solution. Um, with this, we'll also be running with our integration partners easy to use DePin node runners. So being able to easily deploy hopefully your favorite DePin project through Nunet and run it on decentralized hardware. So that's the first thing. That's the most exciting thing to come up. So what we'll be doing is launching that out in the coming weeks. Hopefully, you guys will see the new interface. You'll play around with it, have a look, and get back to us. As the first thing, the second thing coming up from the appliances, we will be working with community developers to build use cases on this appliance. So as an open source project, we're always, looking for people to contribute, looking to people to build on Nunet to make it a fully self-sustaining ecosystem. So hopefully in the coming weeks, we will be launching out kind of little campaigns to get community developers to build use cases on Nunet. And we already have some people in the community that have been wanting to build on Nunet since forever. So we're really excited to get that up and running. Some other stuff in terms of like the DMS itself. So we will be releasing a new version every quarter. So at the end of Q1, we'll be releasing DMS version 0.6, which will include Kubernetes integrations, streamlining onboarding processes, everything like that. Third thing is expanding AI and machine learning use cases. So running AI models and agent-based systems with efficient workload distribution across the Nunet network. We will obviously be working with and deepening our collaboration with ASI Alliance. So especially for ASI Create, more news to come up on that once we've done the POC. Um, then the long-term vision, like what we'll see coming into the end of the year, is actually the network tokenomics. So this is making the network public. Right now, we're kind of in a private network because we don't have the full public network onboarded. So what we're doing over the next year is working on our network tokenomics. Essentially, what this means is how do you fairly price compute if I'm based in Australia, somebody else is based in the US, somebody else is based in India? And what we're doing is we're really building this from the ground up. And we will be sharing out what we're doing with the community so that they can see our network tokenomic roadmap. We'll be running tests with the community. We'll be getting feedback from the community about our network tokenomics. And then hopefully at the end of the year, we'll have the full public network. But the
Wow.
most exciting thing, I think, for Nunet in 2025 is going to be able to see real life use cases, real life deployment on Nunet. And that's going to be supported by our network our network dashboard, which is essentially show you compute provider side, how much compute is onboarded, and also the demand side. We want to show the demand side that there's actually people using this platform. It's not just something that people contribute to and nothing happens. So we're currently working on our network dashboards at the moment that will show the demand side as well as the supply side. So being able to see how everything is interacting within the Nunet network. And I know we launched these dashboards before and everyone loved them. And it's, I think it's a nice thing for people to see how a network grows and how a network develops. So that's another thing that we're excited for. But yeah, most exciting part is real life demand on Nunet. We have a lot of partnerships. We have a lot of companies and projects that want to use and work with Nunet's platform. What we're building is something truly revolutionary in terms of a fully decentralized computing stack. That's why it's taken us quite a long time to get here, but we're here, and there's no slowing us down now. We're going to keep driving forward. As always, we're open source. Jump onto our GitLab. You can see every day there's hundreds of commits, and like our team is working on it. We have a 38-ish people team. 75% of them are developers. We're really pushing out. We're really building. We're gonna have a really exciting year with everything that's coming up.
Wow, it is, truly exciting to sort of touch base with you again and just see all the things that are going on. Like I say, it's so refreshing when a project such as Nunet really can show the kind of work that is being done and how that's all factoring into the goal that is trying to be achieved. And there's lots of people that are watching this. Perhaps some of them have heard about Nunet for the first time. Perhaps they're long-time followers of the project. But for the people that are perhaps new to Nunet, they want to get on board, where would you send them? Obviously, you guys have a Discord, social medias. We'll leave links to all that in the description. Where's the best place for them to get involved with Nunet?
Yeah, Discord is our best place. We have a very active community there that, suggest things, get involved. Of course, we have Telegram as well and X, but Discord right now is a really, really nice place to be. It's a really nice place to share your suggestions, how the marketing team could work better, how we could communicate better, how you can get involved as well. We have basically messages there. You can just go to the chat and deploy. As mentioned, we will be releasing out the Nunet appliance pretty soon. And that's going to be really awesome for everyone in the Nunet community because everyone will be able to contribute. It's not going to be kind of gate kept for highly technical people anymore. It's a couple of clicks and you're done. And then from that, one or two more clicks to deploy on hopefully your favorite DePin project. So that's where I would get involved. Jump onto X, then jump onto Discord and contribute.
Fantastic. Get involved, guys. Truly, it's going to be exciting. I'm actually going to ask Jennifer about the sort of SPO integration with Nunet, because certainly for me personally, this is a way that I can leverage a decentralized network like Nunet, which is very exciting. And I'm very excited myself to sort of see how this all plays out. Certainly the dashboard in regards to what's actually taking place, demand, supply, et cetera, et cetera. I just love the transparency, love the project. Jennifer, it's always an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming back on the show. I look forward to speaking to you sometime soon.
Thank you. You too. Thanks for having me.